Okay, everybody. So, welcome to our new platform, as it were, and welcome everyone to the new MonoGame Open Hours 2025. And we're here. We're bold and new. This is our new sort of streaming platform. We're going to play around some things, so please expect some teething issues as we bounce through this. But Tom's already done one big long stream. We did a live preview, which everyone sort of played around with. But there's lots of new features. We're going to try see what works, what not. But anyway, we'll get on with the show because it's October. The year is running on, and things are coming along nicely, as it were. We're plowing on with everything on MonoGame. We're bashing all the PRs down. We're knocking down issues and also addressing community feedback as and when it appears. So, getting into this month, we're going to fast pace because we have a special guest on this month who's happily waiting in the green room, got all these things ready. And I will hand over to Tom to give a little bit of an update to where are we with things going on.
Hey, everybody. So a couple of updates on general MonoGame stuff. So release status. We really want to try and get 3.8.5 out for this month. Unfortunately, a couple of issues kind of blocked us. One is that some issues in the new Vulkan backend. We really wanted to have the new Vulkan backend ready, as a preview version of it, along with the DX backend. And the Vulkan backend has some bugs that are kind of bad on certain systems, and we wanted to address that. We're currently working on some fixes for that, and hopefully any day now it'll be fixed. So we'll probably have 3.8.5 out, once that is fixed. Another one is there was an issue with the new pipeline system, the new builder, and we really wanted to fix that for this release and have that in there as preview. And all that kind of ties together with, as part of those two things, we wanted to release 3.8.5 and then have the new 3D platformer starter kit released publicly as well that ties into that. So the Vulkan backend would work with it along with the new builder, and it could all be together. So those things all, because of these couple of bugs that we ran into, it kind of jammed everything up. There's also something with the model importer that we ran into, but it's maybe not a major bug. So yeah, that has us jammed up, and we really have a hard deadline here as there's some critical fixes for Android that we want to try to get out at the same time. So rest assured, we're focusing on getting that done so we can get 3.8.5 out the door. On Bounties, I think everything is continuing to move along, but is there anything special to call out on that, Simon or Dean?
No, the tutorial bounties are progressing and coming along quite nicely. 2 of them are almost ready. Those, as soon as they're packaged up and gone through their final proofing stage, will be available to the patrons for a period of time to give them early access. A lot of people saw the short for the shaders one, which is generating a lot of interest, which goes into a whole heap of effects that you can do within the 2D space. We'll continue along the trend with those advanced tutorials, and as well a mobile tutorial about taking your desktop game to mobile, either Android or iOS. Right. The 3D and the other tutorials are pacing just behind those, but as ever, we're always striving to try and get more content out there and in the wild.
Okay. And so yeah, and the starter kits, we're still working on those, but the plan is to release the 3D platformer one first, while we're still working on the others. And then, we got music from somebody.
That's me, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the 3D platform, I need to go. One of the things I've been doing is fixing going through and trying to document it as much as possible.
Right.
And I want to fix that level that you found really boring.
Yeah.
In the last stream.
It's not, yeah. Well, we could talk about level design, I guess, and figure that out. But yeah, no, that level just has, you start the level with like a lot of waiting, and it's like, that's not a fun thing for a level, right?
That was good feedback, though. That was nice feedback.
It's about as simple as it gets, right?
Yeah,
and sometimes you have to have somebody else say it because you can't see it when you're doing it yourself. You don't
exactly.
notice it.
You just don't notice it.
you're totally blind to it. This is why it's important to get feedback as soon as possible and as often as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great too. And then I guess going from that, our new streaming plans. So with this new streaming system that we're using, we wanted to kind of up the presentation level of stuff that we've done in the past. We kind of have outgrown the Discord streaming. So this, I think, is going to help us a lot. As part of that, we want to just do more streams more often. So it's not just once a month like it has been. Last Friday, we kind of took the initiative, to just have a quick stream that was just about code, essentially. So we'll be doing more things like that. And I think we have some more things to talk about with that here in a moment. But Simon, you want to talk about the MonoGame book?
Yeah, so one of the things that's come about, I'll slide over here. I've got the book page has disappeared.
Has it? Oh no.
Oh, who's messed with the deck? Oh,
Yeah.
now we're going through the things. Oh well, we had to.
There it is. Oh, there it is.
It's in the wrong place. Oh,
Yep.
that's probably my fault. There we go. That's our one thing that had to go wrong this month. We can't have it not going
Sure.
completely right. Our things. So Aaron Langville has contacted us to tell us that there was a new MonoGame book it's out in stores now for everyone to go and purchase. We looked at the subject material and it looks like it's a very comprehensive going through building a nice little effectively a roguelike or an RPG style game with lots of things from all the basics all the way through to actually getting the game up and ready with lots of features. So sort of like to highlight that as a sort of a subtle nod to another author who's out there. There are one or two other people I know who are working on titles, so as and when they appear, we'll do it out. And at some point, I think we are talking about getting our current 2D tutorial packaged as a book, so it's another way to support MonoGame and also to give you something in your hand that's physical. We'll have the MonoGame 2D tutorial packaged into a book. There's a considerable amount of work to get that done, as it were. But stay tuned for that. There we go. I can go back to here.
So streaming plans. Didn't we have a slide
Yes.
on that?
Yep. So we've got a slide up now. As you've seen, we've got our new streaming platform, and as we are paying for this service, we want to make the best use of it as we can. So obviously, at the moment, we currently have our open hours. That's once a month, every third Wednesday, which is obviously where you are today. Tom has now started up his own new stream, so he's actually going to be coding weekly on Fridays. Tom, I think you got a schedule set up.
Yeah.
Where we're going through PRs, fixes, seeing Tom's mind working code, which is always fun to watch. Alongside that is we've also have what we're classifying as the Creators University, which is going to be a weekly series. Should hopefully be starting next week, but see how the stars align. That's probably going to be on a Thursday, so we don't conflict with Tom's work and open hours and things like that. Where we're going to be running through the highest of the MonoGame tutorials, going through them, allow people to join in, ask questions, get feedback. Aim to be quite short sessions so we can build up a video catalog of more educational content that people can refer to and going on. And we're also in talks with several others that we're going to be going. So the university side is going to be going through the 2.2 tutorial. It's going to go through the shaders tutorial. That will probably be about a lot slower pace because there's a lot more content in there, and also then into mobile and beyond. The current tutorial series we've got, if we're doing what sort of one chapter a week to keep at the pace of what people want to see, there's enough content there for the next year. So that's going to keep going on and keep me very busy. Tom, if you want to talk about code time.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that if we're going to be spending time working on bugs in the public release of public version of MonoGame, and if we had like PR work, just approving PRs or going through PRs in detail or any other things like that, we figured that it's worth kind of going over that publicly, so you can kind of just get some insight into the difficulties and the things that we go through in order to get that stuff done. So that's really all it really is. A lot of it's going to be very code centric, most likely. And we expect that there'll be some other streams that we do around this. We're just kind of figuring it out for right now.
I think the thing that I most liked at your stream, Tom, is that, and if anyone's not watched it, it's available on YouTube to go and watch. Twitch deletes it after a week because we're not a premium or pro partner.
Right.
But it's seeing the troubles you have with the content pipeline. We have the problems with the same with the content pipeline, but you got to see Tom delving through the weeds of exactly how to find out what was going wrong, the ways you diagnose that, and then how to fix that, which I thought was invaluable. I thought you thought it was a waste of time, Tom, but I love that section because seeing how a mind works to correct something which is going wrong and the steps you go through.
Right.
Was just fantastic.
Right. No, I didn't feel like, showing people how I diagnose stuff, and figure things out. I mean, that's useful. Like just being able to know how, and this is a skill that anybody as a programmer needs to learn is, if I have a problem, how do I figure out what's causing it and how do I fix it? How do I approach the problem? And that's really the key to all this is like just figuring a way in to figure out what the solution is. That's the trick. So learning, how other people think that way, helps, when you get into your own situations. The thing that I thought was a waste of time was the fact that I had to do that at all because it should have already be working. So it's that kind of dog fooding where we're kind of living with our own code that forces us to look at here are the problems we ran into. Like I ran into the issue that the change, what was it, the change in how we build the shaders or the native code that was moved around from when I wrote it originally, so I couldn't figure out what that was, but there was no documentation in the readme of like, well, how do I build the code? That wasn't there, and I didn't find it. So fixing that so that the next person that comes across says, well, how do I build the native code and can't find an answer? Hopefully they can find an answer now. So that's the idea, is to, go through this ourselves so we see where the pain points are and address them.
Yeah, it's also showcasing the same troubles some people have when they're working, especially if you're working with the source code. We have that ourselves. We're a multidisciplinary team. We're working with a code base that's over a decade old. And some things are rapidly changing, especially with the change in the native platform. And while we try to communicate even with the team about these changes and how they work, sometimes it's easy to misstep. But that's the whole point with these things. You get to see behind the covers, behind the curtains, as it were. The wizards, the curtains drawn and it's come down. But anyway, I digress. So that's pretty much it. So that's that's it from us. A nice little quick run up. We'll have more in the QA and things later. There's a lot of good questions coming in. Our new platform allows us to see questions from everywhere, so we'll get back to those into the Q&A time. Someone's thrown me a Jim Carrey gif. Thank you. But we want to hand over the stage now to our guest, Jean.
Hello.
And hope you're now on the stream. You're live, so anything embarrassing has to go away, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Rip.
So John, you're here to talk about your shapes library and also your game evolution and everything's going on. So we shall pass the floor to you.
All right, welcome everyone. So I'm an indie game dev from Quebec, and I've been working on a game where it's built in MonoGame. And as I build my game engine, I've been splitting the code off into separate libraries over time. So my game is pretty simple. It's a sort of obstacle course type of game where you're trying to cross and go to a different to keep progressing forward. So it's a very simple game, but since I'm building the engine, it's you're like building tools at the same time. So one of those tools is my shape library. But first, how do I do, like, where did I come from? Like, so before being able to draw shapes, I learned about this technique, I believe, from this Valve paper, where they show the concept of the sign distant field. So a sign distant field is like a math formula that allows you to know how far you are from the edge of a shape. And then from there, you're able to do, to have conditions to like draw if you're on the edge or inside or outside. So it's very simple. For example, the circle is just how far you are from the point to the radius. Anyways, so an example here is like since you have the distance to the shape edge, then you're able to like grow the shape, or you can round it because the lines further from the edge would be rounded since you're getting the shortest distance to an edge. Anyways, so when I discovered that, I tried to implement it into MonoGame. And so that's how I got this library. So before doing this, I was drawing the old way, where if you read the forums, you have usually a pixel that is 1 by 1, and then you stretch it in order to get various shapes using the MonoGame sprite batch. I believe this is the technique that's still used in MonoGame Extended. And it does really good shapes, but it's not smooth the same way that an SDF shape would be. Also, this talk is an extension to another talk I gave a while ago that I called Weekend Projects. I wrote the write-up here. So a lot of what I'm doing is with a weekend project mindset, where you work on very small projects, and then once you have your proof of concept, then sometimes the project, then you're done, or sometimes you want to grow it. So this is one of the projects that I decided to grow. So then now I can show you how I import this and then show the API at the same time. We'll create a new MyGame.
So in this, Jon, you're actually just creating a brand new MonoGame project from scratch and then importing the whole library.
Yeah, perfect. Just do a quick .NET restore. All right. Oh yeah, I since I'm using net 9, I'll just update this right here.
I see, really pushing the boundaries and propping up your project on net 9, not net 8 like on MonoGame.
Yeah, and I actually pushed a version a bit before this. So the simple way is like you just go on NuGet, and then you can copy this package reference and then paste it right in here. So this is the latest and greatest bleeding edge code. And then from here, you can copy the sprite batch, make a shape batch instead. I'll just call it SB. Also, I forgot how to code.
Coding on stream is hard.
Yeah, I'm rusty too. All right. Shape. So the shape bash is very similar to the sprite bash. The whole API design is made to be similar. Graphics device, and then I give it a content so that it can load the shader. All right. And then to draw a shape, so for now it's just the cornflower blue. And then drawing a shape is just a matter of starting it. So shape bash begin, and then so it should be pretty familiar to MonoGame devs. And then if you want to draw, for example, or fill circle, I'll put it at 100, 100, radius of 50, and the color can be white. So for this library, I have a bit of vocabulary. So the shapes have usually for each shape 3 functions or 3 words. One of it is called fill. So the fill is just a circle with no. Oh yeah, MonoGame orange. Do you have that? Yeah. So the fill is just a shape, no border. But then you also have access to border. So this is very similar, but instead of drawing a filled shape, it draws only the border. And then you can give it a thickness. So for example, I'll give it 10. Oh, no, I should probably move it. 200, that should work. So it's really fast, this library, to create, like get a game project started, and then you don't need any sprites, just draw your shapes right away. And then I guess you can actually pair this with, for example, my tweening library to get a basic animations or like interpolation. But anyway, so and then also you have, so the fill is only the fill, border is only the border, but you can also do it together. For example, draw a circle. So this combines both together. So the API is generally like this. You give it the position and then various shape information. For example, a circle needs a radius. And then you have access to the fill color or the border color. And then recently I created a gradient. So you're able to also have, instead of a single flat color, you can have gradients. So that makes it look a lot better. In here, I'll just do a simple, I'll keep the MonoGame orange, and then I'll give it a white border.
I think I need to send you the SVG parser that I was working on.
SVG. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Did I miss that?
I was working on like
Oh yeah. Oops.
more like the old school way, but it's the thing that was in my head that I'd been playing around with is very much. Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
Love
So
it, man.
this is only the circle. There's a lot of shapes in here. Oh, they put it in. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, I have access to circles, rectangles, triangles, hexagons, I believe. Arcs.
But
Oh
do you
yeah,
have
arcs.
parallelograms?
Do I? No, I not yet.
there's a quick PR request for you. Parallelograms.
Yeah. Here's one that I added recently, because this is getting used either already or soon by GUM, the UI library. And one thing that was requested was arcs, which I'm surprised I didn't add them before. Let's do 3.
We always get caught up by the obvious of like, oh, of course, it's obvious I
Yeah.
should have done that one.
Angle. Oh yeah, this isn't. So let's start with 0 all the way to pi. Oh, did I not import it? That's from system, if I remember. Yeah. Let's do 2. Did I? Oh yeah, and there's so this is an arc, so it's pretty much a circle. So it takes the same sort of parameters, and then did I? Right. Angle 1. Oh, okay, right. Radius 1. Okay, and since an arc is like a line pretty much, you have, and it's like rounded. I'll do like 20F, you'll see after. Then I need the color. MonoGame orange. Nice. So you see, there's a radius for the shape, and then there's also a radius for the inner line, kind of.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So this can be used for loading animations or anything. I'll do like a fill line just to show how it's similar.
This would be a really good way of doing like progress bars and all those kinds of things, isn't it? It's really good.
Well,
and the shapes are like, it's pretty much vector, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
Well,
have
it's a UI. It's basically good for a UI library.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But I think I'm gonna build a game using that for like the art. Since now I have a gradient, you can make some really nice looking art. Where was I going?
Did you say, John, you've got an editor you've created using
Yeah,
library, which showcases a lot of these features?
I'm using fill because it's simpler. Instead of having two colors, I just need to set up one. So yeah, this makes some really smooth looking shapes. I can show really fast my editor, but I didn't finish it.
So with something
we
like,
don't buy into finished code.
Yeah. Oh, did I? Right.
So with something like the line that you had there, it had a curved ends. Does it have to have curved ends?
For now, it's coded as curve. Technically, you could use a rectangle and then use that to draw a line without the curves.
Right.
And I probably in the future, I'll make an API so that you don't have to use the rectangle, even though behind the scenes it could be. Yeah.
I think they call them the terminology is an end cap, isn't it?
Yeah, butt ends.
Yeah.
So here's my little editor. I can create a shape, and yeah, you can see how. And I'll add a bit of thickness. My mouse is. Yeah, I need to get a new mouse. I set my panning on my middle mouse, but it's getting click issues.
When you're showing this initially, I love how smooth this is and how it just runs quickly.
Yeah. So this is actually an editor. I made it for my game, and then eventually I pulled it out and then put the code open source. So to build this, it was pretty fast, except it was pretty outdated. But yeah, the code itself was mostly working. Oh, that's fun. Oh, true. Yeah, anyway, it's not.
There was a game that came out when I was very young called Thrust. I don't know if anyone remembers it. You're a ship and you had to go down into some tunnels, shoot a reactor, and then leg it with like a power core or something off the ship, off the planet. It was all vector art. I could see you doing that entire game with just this library.
Right.
You didn't need anything else.
So this was the shape library started in like 2021, I believe. And once I got into the line API, that gave me the idea to try. Can I make a drawing application? Not this one. So I created just from this simple idea, a drawing application that all it does is as you're moving the mouse, it's creating lines from the previous position to the next. What did I? Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess I was working on stuff. But yeah, you can so you can actually draw a line, and this is a lot of little line segments. On like an infinite space algorithm. Oh, infinite space. I mean, limited by the floating point rounding numbers, but yeah. So the library is generally pretty fast. I probably slowed it down recently with the gradient stuff, but in my old computer, I could do something like 40,000 shapes per frame. Yeah.
Do you still have the gradient line drawing running in that?
Yeah, I probably have it. You want to see the gradient?
Yeah, it's showcase everything.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
follow
yeah, good.
colors, you don't follow- no,
Okay.
let's have a gradient in there.
New gradient. Oh, did I? Yeah. Okay, cool. I just changed the API, but now it works anyways. So the gradient.
Oh, changing the API before a live demo. That's brave.
Yeah.
That is very brave.
It's like because when you're like incorporating a library or like doing a talk, then you're faced with the real world, and then that gives you new ideas. So the color. Do I keep it this? Do we have a second color in MonoGame? I guess white. The color for the gradient is in the same space as the shapes. So if your shape moves, the gradient will stay in place. So you would move like to keep the shape and the gradient moving together, you would move both values together. Anyways, so this 300 by 200. Oh, and then I can do shape. I have a bunch of ways to do gradients. Let's use a conical asim. I'm surprised at how much I like this one. I'm doing a fill line. Did I have too many? Oh, I should have binded this to the mouse. Oh, yeah, you see that? That's kind of really cool. So it's a conical gradient that's asymmetric. So you could use this for like a lot of stuff. For example, if you put the gradient slightly outside the shape, let's do.
Go on, it'll look much better bound to a mouse. You know you want to.
Yeah, I should, right? Oh, I moved it on the wrong side. Yeah, let's just put that on the mouse. It's gonna be easier. Oh, true, because I have this. Okay, no, never mind. So how do we do this again? Mouse state. I forgot. Get state. Position. And then let's do the same for the second color. So that's the joy of working with MonoGame. There's not really anything that gets in your way when you're coding. We'll move it by 100 here, 0 here. So this will create a gradient that's always on my mouse. And the second color that's used for the interpolation will be always to the right of the mouse. So you see how the shape doesn't move, but you can move the gradient. So sometimes you can like move this, for example, here and get some nice color. It's not exactly a filled color, like or like even a bit lower. So there's a lot of exploration for artists that can.
And like if you set like the white color to transparent, I guess it would look like it's appearing and disappearing.
Yeah, color. Which one is this? This goes to transparent black, yeah. But it should be fine. Yeah, it will look a bit darker.
There's alpha blend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so this is this almost looks like a pill button. So yeah, depending on where you take the gradient, you can have a lot of freedom. No need for sprites. So that's pretty much the API. And yeah,
That's what I love about the programmatic nature of this. It removes the need for getting art and assets themselves, and you can actually generate it at runtime or change things procedurally about how they want to do. Where traditionally you'd have to have some kind of blending effect or have a shader that can go and do something, but this allows you to just programmatically just throw it on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
From a performance standpoint, I mean, how is the performance hold out?
It's pretty good. I didn't re-benchmark in my latest version, but oh yeah, I guess I can try a little. This little map editor thing is I'm able to press this and then generate a lot of shapes. So you see how it can 60 FPS, and I think it dropped some because I accidentally clicked outside the window.
Mhm.
But yeah, you see how I can just generate shapes and it's pretty fast.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the internals, how this works?
Yeah, it's a custom batcher.
So like my first question was like, so when you say like draw circle, is it actually, what does it emit? Is it emitting like a quad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good question. Actually, I wanted to talk about that. So it's doing a quad that is tightly. It's making a quad that's as small as it can to hold the shape.
Right. So it's tightly
It's
tightly bound to the shape.
Yeah.
Right.
In the past, I had these, but I forgot how to use those. It
Mhm.
could. It made the background color filled like pure red, and then it was really obvious.
Right. I guess if you switch to wireframe drawing, it should be, well, no, because you'll see transparency at the edges. So
Yeah. Let's
But-
see if I could like hack it right now. C color. This one, I believe C4. This is like older code. I don't think I touched this in maybe 4 years.
well, let's find out.
Yeah, so the color is this, and you want to mix it with C3, which is now a result. This gives me a pure red. Let's try that. Oh, I should have made it blue, maybe.
But yeah,
Oh,
so there we can see the quad.
yeah, my UI is actually using the shape library, so it's gonna affect everything.
Right.
But you see how like the shape is.
Mhm.
There's like man, it's so there's
It's all
a
right.
there's a bit of padding for the anti-aliasing since it's a sort of blurriness. But yeah, for every shape, it's a quad that's as tight as it can.
Right. So basically, instead of like, there's two approaches to a shape library like this, right? You know, one approach is to generate geometry, right? Which a
Yeah.
lot of these shape libraries do.
So that's
they
what I
just
did in
generate
the past.
triangles and do that. This is taking the opposite approach, which is a fill rate heavy approach or a shader heavy approach, where you're passing in a quad, and mathematically in the shader you're generating the shape.
Yeah.
Which gives you infinite smoothness without having to have a ton of geometry.
Yeah. In some cases, you run into floating point issues. So then you have to like figure out the math to sidestep, or like at least put it into a like push the problem where people won't notice. But yeah, this is just a sprite shader.
Right.
And so yeah, this is before coding this library, I was working on a sprite batch alternative.
Right.
And then eventually I turned it into this tutorial, a first batcher, where you can create your like a simple shader that does nothing. Well, it only outputs the sprite to the screen, and then it also has its own vertex
format, right?
Format, yeah. So once you have this very simple stuff, then eventually you can add your own values so that they're sent to your shader. So this one is a bit more complex. It requires a lot of things for like color, and then I put like meta thing. This is
extra data for your shader.
Extra data, like different shapes might need different data.
Right.
So yeah, same thing. And then eventually I ran out of space. I found a function, they call it pairing functions. And then you can put multiple variables together in one and then unpair it on the shader. So that's pretty fun. Because I'm using shader model 3 for OpenGL support.
Right.
and at some point you run into limitations. But I'm surprised I could still shove so much into this shader without, and then it works.
Right. I mean, that's obviously, obviously it's very, very fill rate intensive.
Yeah,
But
but usually it still goes. It has similar performance from my test to the sprite batch.
Right. Have you tried? I mean, like optimization wise, I wonder if it'd be interesting to. I mean, I guess, do you ever try having a different pixel shader for different shapes instead of one Uber shader that handles everything?
Yes, so this is an Uber shader. I think if you have multiple shaders, you'd have to break the batch, right?
Correct.
So for this, I pretty much focused on never breaking the batch, and I didn't really consider other options. And then maybe in the future, I want to do like a big meta batcher that can have both this and also provide the same functions as the sprite batch.
Right.
But I didn't get there yet. But is it a good idea or not? I'm not sure yet.
Right. I mean, obviously, with older hardware, having multiple shaders might be efficient, especially if it can be broken up into like very common shapes and uncommon shapes. But with newer hardware, it's possibly arguable that an Uber shader is a better approach potentially.
It's because I've been shoving more and more into this, and I didn't get into any issues yet. And for my projects, it's running fast enough. But then as more people use it, then I suspect I'll have to rethink.
Correct.
I forgot my next point, but yeah, this is
it's all right.
Ongoing project.
Cool. What are you thinking of doing next, like with this project?
Long term or maybe mid term is like this meta batcher that can do both shapes. Like the goal is to you import this, and then it's easy to get a little game jam going, or and then like for my own projects, when I don't need everything, sometimes I'll split the code into and then bring it into, for example, a game jam game, and then remove what I don't need.
Right.
So yeah, this is like a good base to build on. And so like in the like usually when you do that, like split the code off or like fork it off, it gives you new ideas, and then you can bring back what you like about the changes you did.
Have you thought about anything like actually applying textures to any of the geometry, or does that even mathematically make sense?
Well, the gradient stuff is pretty much that,
right?
But like it's a fill, so you could have texture eventually. If I do like my meta batch ideas, I'll be able to push in like textures, and then that would work. Well, I mean, you can already do that if you output a specific color that's used into a different shader after. So you could have a pipeline that uses the shape, and then, or even the other way. Yeah. So you could combine this into a graphics pipeline.
Right.
And then have like different shaders being applied at different times. But yeah, having more, like this is a bit like a little tool that after that you can build on top of.
Right. I mean, the benefit of this is that you get kind of infinite resolution, right? You can zoom in as far as you want or zoom out as far as you want, and you get resolution forever, which might be a good thing in certain UIs and for certain games and things like that.
There's like the floating points issue sometimes that pop in, where you'll see lines start to jitter, but in general, like it doesn't happen unless you're zooming in really far.
Right. I mean, I would assume you have the same problem if you start drawing things very far away from the origin. You start
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
some jitter and stuff. But I mean, that's the same thing in anything like that.
yeah,
Any system. The further, if you're working on floating point, 3-qubit floating point, the further you get away from the origin, or the tighter you zoom in, you start losing precision.
yeah. I'm actually working on something like the drawing application I showed earlier.
Hmm.
I'm trying to like fix it at least in that application, and then what I learned probably I can bring back
Right.
by having, like, for example, different coordinate system that you can swap seamlessly. But I
Yeah. I
didn't
mean,
finish. Yeah,
all these parts are like excellent to use for a drawing app of some sort. I think that's an interesting use case of it, and for sure, prototyping 2D games is
yeah,
not a bad approach. UIs, HUD elements, things like that. It can be
yeah,
used in a ton of different places.
yeah. That's what's really cool about just drawing shapes with math.
Right. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Start posting them. We'll jump into questions here in a moment. So this is currently available on GitHub, and also I assume you have NuGets up as well. And this still is like an alpha version, right? It's not even a 1.0 yet.
Yeah, the main thing that I want for the 1.0 is writing docs. So right now the
Right.
API kind of documents itself,
Hmm.
but I want like a better. I actually have this site set up where it already auto generates. Did I? I guess, yeah, I think it's not good enough, so I didn't put a link, but it's somewhere in here. Yeah, so for now it's just the README, but
Yeah.
eventually there will be pages for the docs. And then also I want to make sure to test everything because I changed the way the anti-aliasing works, and I want to test it really well before I make this. So right now this one is like the stable release, and then I'm working on like this alpha that's almost done, but I want to make sure it doesn't break everything.
Right.
Though I
It's good to
already
see as
use
well.
it.
People are testing it out while it's an alpha, so you're getting quite good downloads there. And
Yeah,
apologies if you suddenly get a
especially
spike or issues raised from this.
yeah, especially like the gum integration was like really amazing. For
That's cool.
yeah, because like he's building gum and then replacing Skia Sharp, I believe, or maybe just Skia. I'm not sure which one he's using, but then it's exposing differences in the rendering. So in some cases, this is better than Skia, and in some cases, it's worse. But I think now I tackled almost everything, every issue. So yeah,
Cool.
we're getting really close from like 4 point something, not alpha.
Cool. Is there any like third-party projects that are using it that you want to point out?
Well, the main one I think is my drawing application. This one is also on GitHub, and then there's releases are getting pushed to itch.io. So this is interesting,
Cool.
seeing what people do with that. Sometimes I get sent some really big canvases.
Yeah,
No.
I can imagine there's some arty projects done with that
Right.
because you've
Yeah.
seen you got OpenBrush and a lot of those VR kind of
Right.
projects, and there's a much smaller contained version, which is just
Right.
web. I think do you have Mint working with KNI, so it's also web based as well?
I don't know that one. The how is it called?
KNI, the Ncast web MonoGame.
Oh yeah, KNI. Yeah, I pronounce it differently. Okay, I see. Yeah. Actually, that's kind of funny because the shape library at Ncast tried it, and then it didn't work with KNI, and then it exposed a sort of issue in his shader rendering, and I think within like 1 or 2 hours he had a fix, and then
Open source.
yeah, and then now KNI Like actually made a push really early recently. Wait, has it already been that
I
long?
mean,
No.
this is where all libraries projects come together because everyone
Oh, I'm
commits
on
to
the
each of
wrong
the
project.
projects to make them better,
Right.
especially when they're useful.
Yeah. Shapes. Yeah, if I look here, I think he has a little commit right here.
Hmm.
So how did it incur? Like that's I guess the power of MonoGame.
Mhm.
That's what he did, and it worked.
Just change the shader
Yeah.
model. Problem solved. Yeah, the shader model stuff is kind of messy. Hopefully we're hoping to kill that eventually, so that you don't have to mess with that.
Yeah. Well, I like it for now because
Yeah. Allowed you to fix this.
Yeah.
It should just work, not require it. Do you have any other questions, Simon?
I suppose the biggest one really is because of how much of Shapes is tied to the development of your game, or vice versa. So how many features are coming out of your game, and how many things of K&I then making it the way into game because someone did something interesting.
I didn't understand this.
So you built Shapes because you needed Shapes in your game.
Yeah.
So how many features are coming from your game, and how many features are actually coming from Shapes into your game? So both ways.
Now it's like its own thing. So I guess it's a mix. It's like both. As I use it in my game, then I discover things that I don't like. But also since it's now it's everyone's using it, or like many people, then I get feedback, and then that's bringing improvements into my own game. Like even this week when I was coding this editor, it's using it has undo and redo. And then that gave me a new idea to improve another library that's using this. So like here, if I do this, then I can undo or redo. Or like when I create 10,000 shapes or whatever, I can like move stuff and then undo or redo this. And that gave me like new ideas for my history library. Where it's something that I never thought about, but like, how you can have a state and then have like another state. But then if you do a continuous action, you don't want to have to undo 1,000 continuous action. So you need to be able to like have the first state and then the last state.
Right.
And you don't need all the in-between states.
Right.
So I'll have to like handle that in my history library.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you don't run into that problem until you have a giant history. Then you realize, wait a second, this is not very efficient. Exactly. And in some way, you're kind of developing a video codec, in a way.
Yeah.
On how it has to work to make that work. But yeah, that's true.
It's like we're experiencing this, currently, Tom, is that as we're building out these samples and we're wholly dogfooding MonoGame, we're finding friction points which have not been come up before, and we're fixing them. So it's a great way to try these things out.
So yeah, that's what I like about like just open source in general. You're like exposed to things like because other people use it or yourself. Actually, like that's what I do for my quality control. It's just like in my engine, when I have like a feature that I feel is useful in other projects, and then the process of splitting that code off makes the quality of the code go higher. And then once it's split off, then you need to bring it back into the original project. So this back and forth is what I feel creates quality.
Right. Yeah. Your project inspires the library. Your library then inspires your project, right? You get ideas like, oh, I can do this. Oh, this would be a cool feature in the game, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Back and forth.
And I guess it's different for people that want to create games only, but when you create like your engine, for me, the game itself has no value unless I can reuse the code. And then, so this process of creating libraries is how I make code that's reusable.
Makes sense. Let's see. Maybe it's time to go into a little bit of QA.
Yeah.
One thing I just noticed, Simon, is this the shapes library is not in our resources page. We should definitely get that in there.
John, you've not
Oh.
submitted it to the resources page?
I guess I
No.
forgot.
This is
I
a
guess
crime.
we'll call this an official request, I guess,
Yeah.
to get that in there.
I have a bunch of libraries I probably could submit.
Great.
Yeah, get them in there. It's the one source of truth for people to be able to actually get in there and actually see things and find out what they can do. One of the streaming channels we're considering putting up is sort of a showcase libraries that are available to MonoGame and what they do. Very short little bit streaming sessions to actually just showcase things, whether it's games, whether it's libraries, features and projects that people find useful to help build their games, and how they all work out.
Okay, so let's go through some questions. So here was one. Will 385 allow me to use RenderDoc? That's a good question. I believe we can use it with the new Vulkan backend. We should test that, but I believe it can be used with Vulkan. Tomas is not here, but he would possibly know. I believe with Vulkan you can. You can't use it with GL because we're still on a older version of GL. And I haven't tested with the others, but I believe with the Vulkan you should be able to. If you can't, it should be fixable to do that. That's a good point, and we'll make sure that that gets resolved so that we can actually start using things like RenderDoc to get some more debugging information. So that is a good point. Somebody posted this. I think they were just talking about MonoGame in general. Yeah, I mean, 3D animation is something that's high on our list. Part of why we wanted to do stuff like the 3D platformer was to basically learn these things that are difficult and try to address them. And the 3D platformer has some fixes that that improve things or animation, but it's not the animation that we're doing there is segments animated, transforms animated over time. It's really not a skeleton animation, at least, or a skinned animation. So there's still some work to be done there, but that is something that we feel is very important. Like to take this next jump from to really make 3D viable, we really want to have a good pipeline for 3D models and for 3D animation. And we currently don't have one. What's there is basically all the stuff based on the old XNA skin sample, stuff. And that was very, very primitive and simple. And animation is a gigantic task or a gigantic topic with tons of different things to address. So that's something that we're painfully aware of, and we're definitely going to make some more strides there. And I think that we, short of there being, a third-party library that starts to address some of that, we want to try to make sure that the core engine has enough of it there that you can do, basically game jam games and get animation that works fairly quickly. Without having to go crazy.
There's the XNA animation library, I think, and there's one or two others that do different things. I did notice there was one that launched recently, which also supported both GLB and GLTF, which was quite nice. And I can't remember what it is at the top of my head. It's likely on the libraries channel on the public Discord, where a lot of our mods go and collate and list out of the libraries as well. So whether it's on the Discord, whether it's on the MonoGame website, we try to list as many resources out there. We did have a quick question about getting approval for getting onto Xbox. I suppose
so somebody was posting about that earlier. Like that's something that's pretty important. I talk to indies all the time that contact us about porting different games to platforms and things. And a lot of indies want to self-publish. They don't want to go through a publisher. They want to self-publish. Well, the difficulty there is that you have to get approval to self-publish. And that requires talking to Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo and getting approval for their platform. And 99.9% of the time, it's going to depend on showing them something. They say, yes, this looks like a good game and we want to allow it on the platform. Because they, at the end of the day, they don't want those platforms be filled with bad product, so they're trying to vet those products. So if you end up going to if you go to the MonoGame website and go to Learn, and then go down to Documentation Hub, and then go to Console Access, if you go to that page, it talks to you about like how to get approved for console access to these different platforms. That's basically the path that you need to take, because developer authorization also basically gives you publishing authorization. It's not just about developing; it'll also, at the same time, they assume you're going to publish. So those are that's the process you need to go through there, and you do need to kind of be prepared, because you want to make sure that they're going to want to know what game you're trying to ship when you want to go to publish. So you really want to make sure that you get through that process and that you have something to show them that they're excited about. If it's something that is not exciting, they might reject you, and that just happens all the time. Like they're devs that have something that they're showing, and it's not super impressive. It's a game and it's fun, but visually it's not very impressive. A lot of times they will skip over those things. It's unfortunate, but just the way it is. But you just need to be persistent about it, and also take the criticism. Like, if you apply and you show them your game and say, hey, I want to get on here to ship my game, and they reject you, think about why they're rejecting you. Like, what is it that they're not seeing, that makes it exciting for them, that says, yes, we want to allow you on the platform. Again, end of the day, it's their platform. They let on people that they want to let on. And some people are there because they have been there historically. Some people are there because they have a new product that's really exciting. And some platforms are easier than others. The chances of getting on Nintendo Switch 2 are pretty slim at the moment. The chances of getting on PlayStation 5 are a little bit better, but PlayStation 4 and Xbox, a lot easier. Switch 1, a lot easier. So some platforms are just going to be gatekeeping a little bit more, because they're trying to be more careful about what's allowed in their stores. So yeah, you just have to submit and get in the process, or you could circumvent all that and find a publisher that believes in your product, that is already on the platform, and they will help you get there and give you marketing and help and things like that as well. But if you want to self-publish, you just have to go through those gatekeepers. There's no other real way. Let's see.
Right, we had a question in for you on this time. So there's a question about GC and how you're handling all the garbage collection with the library and between frames and things like that.
I don't think I'm doing anything special for garbage collection. It's just I'm using struct for for example, gradient is a struct, and shape batch. Then it's doing stuff that's similar to the sprite batch.
Right. Are you showing your screen right now?
Oh yeah, I am. Oops, my bad. I guess I am, but it didn't matter. But
that's all right. I jumped over.
Yeah, so gradient is just a struct. So there's information in here. But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's worse than the sprite batch. I didn't benchmark the garbage collection, but I didn't notice any lag spike.
Right.
So yeah, the thing is
just vertex shape is a struct, or is that a class?
Vertex shape. Yeah, that would be a struct too.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that limits your garbage collection, and I assume that every frame it's caching, so it's not caching, but it's not it's not resizing the vector that it's in, so it's reusing memory.
So there's vertices,
right?
And then when you need more shapes, then it can, unlike the sprite batch, resize itself.
Right.
But then it doesn't scale back down.
Right.
Maybe sometimes I'll have to see if this is a good idea. But yeah, and then it can generate the index array from where you started. So I don't think it should have too many garbage collection issues. Yeah.
I mean, that index array is an interesting thing. That's something that in the future, as we move MonoGame forward, like some graphics APIs allow you to draw without index data, and it auto generates indexes, based on just order, right?
Yeah.
And that's a thing that you have a bottleneck here, where you have to generate index data for every primitive that you draw, and you might draw thousands of primitives. The index data is basically always the same.
Yep.
So there are things like that are optimizations that eventually we can do internally that will make things like that, could make things like that faster. But it looks like you're really as efficient at sprite batch, at least as far as garbage generation.
Yeah, that's what I think too. If someone wants to benchmark, then feel free to create an issue if it's not good. And yeah, that's what it's nice too with, since I'm doing a shape batch, and it's just quads, so I don't have any weird shapes, like any weird like triangles that are different than quads. So they can always be built like this. It's very simple.
Right.
And then for each one, you can have it's just 4 vertex.
Yep, makes sense. Let's see. Another question.
Okay, so we had another question about where we can get. Apparently, people have noticed mine and Dean's shirts. So we have I'm going to put it on the thing. So we have the MonoGame store. You can just go and scan the code. And that takes us to our sort of T Republic. There's a few things on there. Although I don't think this one's on there, is it anymore, Tom?
Which one?
This was the original shirt, which also has
that's the original one that I did way back.
Text on the back, which
yeah. Well, we might have to bring it back. Bring it back in public demand. Bring it back. Let's see. Yep. So yeah, that's on TeePublic. There's a link at the bottom of the MonoGame page. At the bottom, there's a store link. If anybody's looking for that. Let's see. Very cool. Here's another question. If 385 gets released for Christmas, it's fine. I don't think it's fine. I think that. So yeah, my goal at this point is to see if we can get that thing released before the next open hours, or the next monthly open hours and meeting and stuff like that, because we just need to get more forward momentum. So yeah, that's our goal, is to get it out sooner. If I'll probably do another stream here going through that. I guess Tomas was going to maybe do a stream, I think, kind of reviewing the work that I did.
Talking about it, nothing confirmed yet.
Right, nothing confirmed yet. Another stream, he was going to kind of review the work that I did last Friday on the Vulkan fix and see if that actually fixes it for him, because I couldn't reproduce the problem on my side, on my hardware, but he had a machine where he's having the issue. So the question is, did my fixes fix that machine? And if it did, then good, then we're a step forward. There's still a little bit more work that I need to do there, because there's a bug in some cases. But if it generally fixes his problem, then that means that is a good fix, and that once I fix the flicker bug that I was seeing, then we might have that Vulkan bug fixed for sure. And if we fix that Vulkan bug, then we're one step closer to releasing 385. So that's what we're waiting on now there. But yeah, it's going to be shipped way before Christmas, if I have anything to do with it. And I guess that's it. Any other questions on our list?
Yeah, there's one in our chat.
Let's see. In our chat. The patch 4.0 patch for 16 kilobyte. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was something we're discussing today. So.
Right. So so I believe the issue is that Android is now requiring 16 byte alignment, or 16 kilobyte alignment on binaries submitted to the store, and we're currently not set up for that. I think that we already have a fix for it, I believe, but it's
I think Dean said that it is fixed in currently in the 385. So
right,
we'd have to do a bit of work and try to cherry pick out an update patch for the forward release, because we don't think 385 is just not in for the preview releases for some of the platforms. It's not quite that it's not to the quality bar we want in for a preview. So we may need to sort of push out a sort of a 4.1 release.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, 3.8.4.1 release to ensure the fact that people can update their Android projects and ensure they're not going to get hit by the deadline for Google, which is the 1st of November.
I mean, that's the responsible thing for us to do, is to push that out there. It's not a huge amount of work on our end, I don't believe, since all our build process and release process is automated. So assuming that it's easy to cherry pick that fix across, I don't see a reason why we couldn't specifically cherry pick that one fix, bring it across, and do this emergency release so that their Android projects, can move forward, with minimal risk, right? Because if we release 3.8.5, we might have introduced bugs that could affect them separately, So it's probably best for us to do that. And that's my thinking of it. I guess we'll go back to the board and talk to them about it and make sure everybody's happy with that approach.
So I think we'll take action fairly quickly on that. That's the one thing about all the support we get for the foundation and everyone's contribution is it helps us to try to accelerate these things and respond to them quicker.
Right.
Right. Another question just came over Discord and can throw up, which is with the .NET 10 release, will 3.8.5 be moved to that LTS, or will that be a later release?
Man, they need to stop releasing so many versions of .NET. It feels like we just started getting used to the idea of we haven't even really fully moved to .NET 9, and we're already talking about 10. So I'm not sure. I think. Yeah.
I don't think 3.8.5. 3.8.5 is too soon for us to adopt and test it out. So I think you're talking more 3.8.6 or possibly a little bit later than that to make sure, even though it's an LTS and it's coming out, it's supposedly stable. Everyone knows you never take the 1.0 of the release. You always wait to see if something else comes out.
Well, at least for your own projects, use the .NET 10.
Oh yeah. Yeah, your own project you can use whatever version as long as it supports .NET 8 as a dependent library. So that's never your own project is never an issue. It's your own support. It's a dependent library. Most things are still using .NET 8 out there. There's still some things using .NET 5, which are still technically supported in a .NET 9 or 10 release. But it's the responsible thing we should move up to date when it's stable. And also, more importantly, when it makes sense, because other than giving us some extra language things, there's no benefit to MonoGame to move up to .NET 10.
And we've run into this before where, I think I forgot what library it is, that we move forward on it aggressively, hey, let's update versions. And we did, and then things were broken. And it's unless there's really my feeling is always, unless there's actually a really compelling reason to move forward, there's no reason to move forward immediately unless there's really something that you really have to have. A lot of times say, well, it has bug fixes and improvements. It's but it probably also has new bugs. And they always tell you the happy part of it, right? It's bug fixes and performance improvements, but they don't say the other thing, which is it possibly introduces new bugs. We just don't know, which just happens every time you update software. So is it worth moving to that at the moment? I think for MonoGame itself, I don't think there's anything that is compelling that we have to have out of that would make it a reason to take on the risk of new bugs and problems because of it. So to me, I think that we wait on updating to that, but there's no reason why you can't use, basically any older version of MonoGame short of the ones for the old, .NET 4 stuff with a .NET 10 game, and it would work just fine. So yeah, I think that's basically where we're at with that. Let's see.
I think
anything else?
Exhausted the questions that are out there now, which is good because, as ever, we're over again. But then again, this is what we're here to do. We're here to support the community and be there for whoever they are, and do what we can.
Yep.
I'm hiding John now with our thing.
Yeah. So, these things are always in the wrong place, right?
There we go. There we go. We're into the classic mode.
Yeah, that works.
as ever, we're always looking for people to help support it. Supporting MonoGame not just helps MonoGame to accelerate and go faster, but it's also going to give you early access to some of the real big front end things we're doing. So the 2D shader tutorial which is coming up, which hands down is fantastic. To see it in its full published form. I learned some new things about shaders, and I never learned things about shaders because they're still a black art mystery to me. But even I could learn them.
Yeah.
And the mobile tutorial as well is brilliant. It gives you a short, sharp way of actually getting your project, what you need to change, how you need to convert things, how you need to package them to get them onto those platforms. We seriously challenge our authors to make the best content they do, and then they have the final stopping gap of they have to get past me. And those who have done it, and Aristotle is on there, will know just how much of a ruthless publishing editor I am to ensure that the highest quality bar is met for MonoGame. They have to work for these things. And again, we've got other tutorials and bounties that are coming in there, so you get early access to all those, as well as the samples. We keep getting regular feedback in sort of private chat channels for the samples that people are learning new techniques. I think the last one, Tom, was someone took all the shader code that you wrote for the 3D platformer and started adapting that for their game.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of that, right? Is to use that for that reason.
Yeah, and as you can see, I'm in the UK. It's going dark here now because the nights are drawing in. Where my colleagues across the water here are still in the light, in the daylight. So we should get down to the bottom of this. So, right, let's call this a close. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, John, for coming along and showing us shapes and how we can build games with shapes.
Yep.
There we go. We'll throw this up again just because. If you want to be able to get hold of the shapes library, it's there. There's a QR code for giving straight to it, or just go to it on GitHub, or just search for Apos and you'll find lots of shapes.
Yeah.
But there's head of Apos. I like that. I've just noticed that.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone. We hope you enjoyed it, and then stay tuned because checking the announcements channel or other places where we're starting up the new streams. So Tom's going to be coding again on Friday. Hopefully by next week I should have the university ready to start going up, and we've got more content coming, so stay tuned. And thank you everyone, and we shall bid you adieu.
Bye.
Goodbye.